It's your boy E. Tally on a Monday, fun day. I know I used to say that was Sunday, but I use Mondays also because it all rhymes. But hey, I got a very special guest that I've been knowing for the last 3 years, all the way from Hitchcock High School. Go ahead, Coach.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Coach Christopher Jordan Foster, head boys basketball coach at Hitchcock High School. This is going on year number 11 for me.
11 years, Coach?
Ooh, 11
man.
years. Went by fast.
It did. It really did. Because like I say, for the last 3 years, I've been rocking with you, and man, I can't believe it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
And all 3 years you've been at the state tournament.
Yeah, been fortunate enough to be able to get back there and have a good group to keep their head on straight and focus and lock in and be able to get back there and represent Region 3.
And I really appreciate that because again, man, you knocked off my guys last year, man, and that was my nephew's last year. You did the same thing. You did the same thing to him that we did to you the first time you came up. Yeah. So now to see you the big dog on campus is really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Because that's back-to-back wins for you, right?
Yeah, it is. That's back-to-back.
And if I'm correct, the first year, I'm not going to say it was easy because I know neither one of them was easy, but it was a little bit easier because of the group of boys you had, correct?
Yeah, man, they were hungry. And we know it's different going to get it than defending it. It was just a little bit different. And, man, I had a group, and those kids had been with me for a long time. And they knew, man, we got to navigate Region 3. That's always been our goal. And those kids were hungry and ready to go. They came straight out of football. It was a little sloppy at first, but once we got it going probably around Christmas break, we kind of saw like, hey man, we got a special group. We just got to navigate Region 3.
Real quick for the audience, where is Hitchcock at as far as in relations to Houston?
Hitchcock is about 35, 40 minutes outside of Houston. We are actually closer to Galveston, about 10 minutes away from Galveston. And we're right on the coast, right off the water, mosquitoes, it's beaches, not the prettiest beaches, but we're right on the coast.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to take too much of your time. I know you would probably want to watch that. No, today's Tuesday, so no football today. So I know you probably want to get back to your studies. And tomorrow, if I'm correct, is the beginning of boys' actual practice, correct?
Yeah, first day of practice.
Okay. So now, are you doing your tryouts first, or
we're going to practice? Yeah, so with us having I'm gonna have a lot of JV and freshman guys. So I think I want to wait till the season gets done, which is actually a week early because the last week in the season of football they have a bye week. So after the last game on that Monday, I will try out the 9th through 11th graders, and we'll go from there. I probably have 2 days of tryouts with them, and then I'll have 2 days of tryouts for any seniors that want to come try out.
Okay, that's what's up. Well, let's jump in these questions then. All right, so like we talked about already, you guys been to the state tournament 3 years in a row, and with that, and you won 2. What do you attribute the sustained success that you obtained to not just get there, but also win twice?
Yeah, consistency. We've been very consistent, and like I've explained to my kids, it's a difference between consistency and motivation. If you got to get motivated to do something, that means you're going to play high when you're motivated, but when you're not motivated, it's, the performance is a little bit different. So we've just, again, been trying to attack it. Like I always tell people, the season is kind of split into 4 quarters, and we know our big goal is to make it to the regional tournament. That's always been our goal, to get to Waco, which was where our Region 3 tournament was. And then we kind of hit the reset button and we attack it from there. We kind of split it up that way. Don't get me wrong, when we start the season, we do want to say we want to get back to San Antonio, but to get to San Antonio, you got to win the region first. And Region 3 is, as most people know, it's difficult. It's difficult to get the region.
And pretty much we're going to talk a lot about you guys' winning and success you had. So can you share some of your strategies and philosophy that you have as far as each year is different? And you mentioned that already, and we talked about that. So just how each year, including this year, are you going to tackle, hey, man, our goal is here. Let's get there.
Yeah. I usually start off and I started recognizing it. You're going to have the big guns on the team. You're going to have some guys that are your studs. But I really started focusing on those role player pieces and developing those guys and empowering those guys to be able to sustain when they get in the game and give them confidence. And 3 years ago with that group that I had, those were kids that was the straight basketball kids that I had, which was about 7 of them. They really were my gym rats. And those, I turned those guys kind of into, it was about 3 of them that was kind of, coach, we always in the gym. But I had a couple of those guys that were really, really big time gym rats. And I knew if I could just work on them and get them, just keep them up, give them confidence, they would fit in perfect with the, what I so-called my big guns. And when that happened, we started seeing, as the season went along, our depth was a big piece of what we do. I don't want to put people in the game and we're afraid to have them in the game for a minute and they got to get them out in 30 seconds. When my guys get in the game, I feel like everybody should be able to contribute. Doesn't matter what part of the game we're in. If we call your number, we expecting you to come in and do some different things. But our development of those role players has really played a big part in what we've done. I usually go 9, 10 deep, and everybody's gonna play. That's what I look at it as.
So you mentioned consistency as far as you developing the group you had. Again, like I said, I remember them 4 years ago. Just as far as having a mixture group in reference to your freshmen and your sophomores, and watching you grow. But how do you maximize that talent and pull it out of the players?
It starts at practice for us. And that's what, again, that group that I had 3, 4 years ago, man, practices that year when we made it to the state tournament that first year, we practice hard. We even practice on game days hard. My assistant coaches, coach, you don't want to tone it down? I said, coach, I don't think they know how to tone it down. We couldn't. So we would have practices where, some guys would get after each other. That second group, beat the starters quite a bit that year. And it got to the point where we had to kind of stop practice because guys were just so competitive. They didn't want to lose. They hated to lose. They hated to end practice on a loss. And I had to tell some of my best players, we got to go home. We can't stay here for 2, 3.5 hours, 4 hours because you lost in a competition drill. But it was that competitive. All on the court, though. Outside the court, they were great kids. They hung out together. Big time family environment. But, man, in between those lines at practice, we had some guys. It's like, ooh, man, this is getting it's getting physical. It's getting kind of vicious out here. But that's the way that group was.
And I think the group you had last year was really defensively.
Yes.
I might be wrong. But I can say last year's group defensively, I think, was better than the group. Can I say that? Because, man, that group, that was tough. They were tough.
Yeah. So the group that won it, I didn't realize until we got in game and in practice how fast and how quick and how much speed we had. I didn't realize until my assistant coach was like, Coach, we got the kid that came second in the state in the 100. We got a kid that finished in the top 4 state in the 200. We had the kids from the 4x1 team, the 4x2 team, the 4x4. We had some kids with speed on the floor. And that's not even including my basketball guys that were quick, in small spaces. These guys are so fast. So they said, like you said, they were like, Coach, I think we might be a little bit better defensively, even though we were a little bit smaller. Yes. But, man, those guards, we could rotate all my guards on people, and they just wore people down in the full court, man. And that's what made the difference. That first year, we just took some teams out that I don't think they could prepare. You can't prepare for that kind of speed in practice.
Right. And I know that last year that was one of James Livingston's problems because again, you told me what you schemed about it and everything, and that you had the players to defend him the way you needed to defend him. Yeah. To where though again, you picked him up 94 feet, and he didn't have any place off. He got a little hot. The third or fourth quarter he got a little hot, but it was too late. You had already stretched a 15-point lead, and you did everything you were supposed to do in that game. And you had but you had the players and the guys to really just construct that winning edge that you got. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in maintaining a championship mindset?
Obviously trying to keep those kids, engaged, locked in, having to set new goals each game, each season. And, with having teenagers, it's easy for them to kind of let their guard down. Last year, it was a little bit different. Like I told them, the bullseye's on your back.
Yep.
Even though we might play against a team that we know we're better than, you're going to get every team's maximum effort. Whether it's a 6A team, which we did see, like, hey, man, this 6A team is trying to take you out. They know what you represent. Whether it's a 1A team, whatever it is, private school, they are giving you their best shot. Even if you might be off that day. You might have woke up tired that day, but they're not. So that was a little bit different and trying to get them to understand, hey, man, you got to pace yourself. You got to maintain. You got to understand that, you got to be able to take a team's best punch because they're going to swing hard and you got to be able to absorb it and then fight back and still maintain in that situation. So I would definitely say, man, keeping those guys focused, locked in. The goal at hand is to try to defend your Region 3 crown first. And then we get to state. Now you get a chance. You put yourself in position to defend your state championship once you get there.
Right. So what do you think, or going into this year, how is the mindset of the guys that you had last year that were juniors, but even sophomores, going into this year? What's their mindset as far as what you're preaching to them to make sure that everyone's locked in? Because you said it, some of these guys will be 2 years back to back. So what's that mindset look like?
Definitely, I look at it like I'm gonna tell my seniors, like, hey, it's kind of a last ride deal. You want to leave out winning your last game. The last game that you played in basketball, you want to know that, hey, we won our last game that was available to play to us. This is it. You're not gonna be back here. Some of you guys that are going to play Division I football, this will be the last time you get a chance to play organized team basketball. Why not go out on top? So they just got to have that mentality that we want to finish on top again. This is it. I tell all my seniors every year, there's no more bus rides. There's no more going out to eat. It's the last. So savor it, enjoy it, but at the same time, win. You still want to go out on top.
So that kind of let's talk about in-game strategies and getting ready to play big games like that. Because again, like you said, this is a lot of your seniors' last game. So with that being said, you want they want to end everything, on top. So how do you kind of maneuver or talk to your guys to make sure that they stick to the game plan in a big game situation?
We're big on detail. My scouting reports, they always get on me, coach, man, this scouting report look like something. It's so detailed. How you know all this stuff, this and that. We are very, very big on detail and paying attention to the little things when you get to playoffs. And we treat it as literally one game at a time. I never want my kids, and I never look ahead in the playoffs. We got our opponent right here. We're going to run our race. And that's what I tell them. This is our race that we're running. This is the pace we playing at. This is what we're doing. And it's one game at a time. And again, practices, once you get in the playoffs, that practices are a little bit different. Stuff is more compact. We might watch film, you're gonna have some film breakdown. We're trying to get people's tendencies. And then your role players, scout team guys, they play an important role for us going into the playoffs. And I try to make sure, again, that they're empowered, even though they might not get in the game as much as somebody else, you still play an important part on this team. We need you to do very good on the scout team because you are mimicking what we're going to see in the game, and they do a good job of that. And we try to prepare. Again, playoff time is a little bit different. We know defensively we're going to see some different things and learning, to deal with referees or, injuries, all that stuff. You got to learn, kind of how to deal with that. And that goes back to early in the season, playing your bench guys, letting your role players get in and get some valuable minutes because you're going to need them in the playoffs when people get in foul trouble and stuff like that.
You mentioned your assistant coaches earlier, and how big of a role do they play to your program? Again, having the winning successes you have, to where though, are you more hands-on, or you let them kind of run their parts of the program to allow you to stand back and just oversee?
Yeah, I let them do a lot of stuff hands-on, especially when we split our groups up with guards and posts and things like that, or we really get down to position type stuff. I let them go in the other gym, and they, I want to empower them and let them do their thing. And the good thing about having my two assistant coaches, and I know they're football guys, they do football too. They were my coaches when I was in high school. So they know me very, very well. They're from Hitchcock. They're from the community. They played at Hitchcock. They were very good athletes when they were in high school. So they understand, my mentality. They know how I was when I was a player. And it's just good and warming to have those guys. And they have a rapport with our kids that maybe some other coaching staffs don't have, because they bring coaches in from other places. That's an advantage that I have. My assistants are from where I'm from. They know our parents. They know our kids. They probably coach some of our kids when they play Little League football and basketball. That's just, a luxury that I have within my coaching staff that, that's something you can't, that's just naturally, that's something that's developed through community and family. And that's a big part of what they do for me.
Now, if I'm correct, you still are the track coach also, right?
Cross country,
excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah.
So with you being multiple sports coach, and then having players play multiple sports, how do you how do you get them to make sure that you maximize as much as you can from them, and then get those scholarships you're looking for those guys? What's the approach that you take?
First off, being honest with each kid, letting them know, because again, I'm not a dream killer. I was a Division I basketball player before, but I tell my kids, hey, you're 5'9", you're fast, you're quick, you're a cornerback. Are you going to do track? Are you going to do football? I want to push my kids to do those other sports, because the chances of them getting a D1 basketball scholarship, it's hard. It's hard to sell that in basketball. Like I tell them, I'm 6'5". I was a point guard, a shooting guard. It's size does matter in basketball. I don't have a 7-footer walking around the school. So trying to get them to understand, hey, if you want to continue on your playing time and be a college athlete, you're going to have to navigate other sports and be a multi-sport athlete. If you're just a single sport athlete, man, you got to be good. You got to be real good. And that's the expectation for me. If you're just straight basketball, you got a leg up on some other people. You should be, a little bit better. But my football guys, and of course, my starting guard last year at Memphis, my starting point guard at UNLV, my starting post guy, he's going to be at Texas Tech playing quarterback. I got my other starting guard. He's going to A&M. We've had some athletes that are very athletic that can also play basketball. And, I've been fortunate enough for them to allow me to coach them hard, because I know I'm a little bit different. Football is not the same as basketball. I'm very hard on them, and they allow me to do that. The parents understand that. So, having those multi-sport kids, I got 2 kids this year that I think are going to be basketball. They're going to be basketball kids and have a chance to play at the next level. Elijah Sherwood, he's a mid-major kid, and I got another kid that's kind of an NAIA D3 type kid. So we got some guys. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys break through and being able to go off and play college basketball.
Okay. So let's say 12 years ago, maybe 13, the young Christopher, getting ready to get into coaching, what advice would you give to him to help build the program that you are today and to look the way it looks today?
Yeah. Man, be patient. This did not happen overnight. I wasn't gifted a bunch of, ultra D1 basketball guys. And, when I got in it, I just was like, let's go, hoop, 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 hoop. You can't do that. You got to build it literally with discipline, detail. What is your standards? What are you going to allow in your program? You got to build it. And that's what I had to do. When we first started, I kind of had to hit the reset button after 3-4 years and like, hey, this style of play is not going to work. I got another style of play that I wanted. You know, we like the man-to-man style of play. A lot of smaller schools like to do zone press, and that's okay. But I had to sit back and look at why do our Region 3 teams somewhat kind of struggle when we get to the state tournament, because the teams that we play in the state tournament are primarily basketball schools that play year-round. So you pressing them is not going to affect them. So how are you going to, you know, play that game? How, you know, what are you going to do when you have to execute in the half court? You know, and again, it took me a little bit. I had to hit my head against the wall and realize you can't do it that way. You can't always be up tempo, you know. And we had to shake that stigma at my school when I first got on the coaching staff. The big thing was Hitchcock ain't disciplined. If they can't run, you can beat them. If you slow them down, you can beat them. You know, and I had to figure out a way to game plan and get my kids mentally ready to shake that stigma that all we like to do is run. We can't play in a half court set. We're undisciplined, stuff like that. You know, I hear it. You know, I'm from the community. I know, you know, so that was a big deal for me, turning the program around. And it took about 3 to 4 years to build that, to get us to where we are. And that's just how it goes. You got to fail sometimes, and you got to learn how to lose to learn how to win and build it from scratch.
So real quick, before I ask my last question, I'm gonna throw a bonus one in there. With the new realignment, what did that do for you guys? Did it help you or hurt you, or it didn't really matter?
For me, it didn't really matter. Just me personally, I like it the way it was. I like the competitiveness. We look forward to the regional tournament. Now, if I had it my way, I would like for the regional tournament and the state tournament to move every 2 years. But, you know, for the powers that be and, you know, trying to get facilities, that can't happen. But it would be nice if the state tournament was, you know, 2 years in Houston, 2 years in Dallas, 2 years in San Antonio, and we can move it. But for me, we're going to be a Division I because, you know, our numbers, I think we're always going to be big school division. And I've looked at, you know, what other schools are going to probably be in the mix here or there. It didn't hurt us. I don't think it hurt us. But for me, I like to play those competitive schools. I know the smaller schools are going to be very competitive. I can't wait to see those guys. I like going to watch those guys play in our region that are smaller than us that I know are going to be D2. But part of it is like, man, you know, at the state tournament, if we win again and then the D2 school wins, you're kind of looking like, man, we really didn't get a chance to play them. You know, it's going to be different having 2 state champions in basketball.
Right, it's gonna be a lot different. It will be, and this will be the first, so it's gonna look real weird, but I'm sure we all embrace it.
The only good thing I can say, my football coach said, Coach, at least you can say you were the last, you know, true unified state champion. You were the last, so
that's true.
You know, things change. We have to adapt to it, and it's nothing I can do about it. Again, if I had it my way, I like everybody in one deal, and you play. You got to go play. That's what it is. Competitive. You know, iron sharpen iron, and you know it's always good to look back on the journey that you had to make to get there, and look at some teams like, man, we have to beat some good teams to get there. So
right, and you did. You really did. I think you guys played the best, and I guess the next thing for us to all embrace is the shot clock.
That's the next thing. I said, man, I would have rather them, you know, integrated the shot clock before we split the divisions. But again, that's above my pay grade. You know, hopefully, if I happen to get a chance and be an AD, because that's my ultimate goal to be an athletic director. If I happen to get to that point and be able to be an AD within the UIL, I would love to, you know. And you get it from a basketball mind that's, you know, been there and done that, and you know, kind of help out in that capacity. But it's been fun. Again, we've prided ourselves in being able to play any style of play. You know, slow down, up tempo. We try to make it to where we can kind of pretty much play any game.
And you guys, for me, someone watching, you guys, I've seen it all. So you guys are a great representation. And it is kind of sad to not see you guys play the best, because to see a 2 team is like, is that really? Nah, not to me, you know?
Yeah. It's just different for basketball. Basketball and football are 2 different things.
Correct.
And I like when it's just one big tournament, it almost has an NCAA feel to it, where it's like, hey, your goal is to get to the Sweet 16. You want to get to the regional tournament. The Elite Eight, the Final Four. We made it to the Final Four in San Antonio.
Correct. Correct. Yes, and that's what it is. Yeah, that's true. That's a great way to look at it, because we start with so many teams, and then you dwindle down to, hey, the 4 best teams are represented. Now it's kind of what we're gonna have 8 now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, two per region, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big and small. Yeah, it's gonna be different. So
it's gonna be definitely different.
So beyond the X's and O's, what are some of the most important life lessons that you try to put on your players to make sure that they're great citizens, great student athletes, just great people, period?
Man, I try to give them examples of stuff that I went through when we're at practice, when we're doing stuff. I'm not going to say punishment stuff, but consequences and things that I give them. And it ain't always about basketball. And it took me a while to understand that early on. I was young. We just want to hit the court and rock and roll and play, and we're going to X and O's. And it's like, nah, you got to, sometimes at practice, we don't even touch a basketball. We just sit down and have conversation and kind of men talk, where I'm like, hey, man, when you move on in life, these are the things you're going to expect, especially for my college athletes that move on to the next level. I try to tell them, like, hey, everything is cool when you sign that letter of intent or when you commit and all that stuff. But, man, when you get there and you get in that practice, it's just different. I don't want to discourage them when they get to school, but I just try to be honest with them. And that's a big thing. And I'm honest with them. And I say, you can ask me anything, and I'm going to be honest, and they ask me all kinds of sorts of stuff, from school to how's the coaches. What do you think about this? I had one of my former players that's at Lamar now. He's in school. He called me, hey, coach, I'm taking these classes. What should I do? And I told him what I did when I was in school. You got a lot of hours and how you have to prioritize things, and you might not have time to work. I didn't have time to work. I was a D1 athlete. You're not going to work a job, being a D1 athlete. So I try to be honest with those guys and give them real life situations that I went through, from academics to professional basketball to college basketball, and some roadblocks that you're going to see making a transition from high school to college. You might not play early on. And that's what I try to do with those guys when they're on the team. Like, hey, if you ain't practicing right, you ain't playing. It's going to happen when you get at the college level. So we don't want anybody to be discouraged because they've been used to being handed everything. And now when it gets tough, you're ready to turn it in because you're not having your way. And that's in academics, in life, and everything else. And you can carry that over as a life lesson. So that's pretty much, trying to be honest and real with those guys. I don't want to set those guys up to fail, but I also want to tell them the pitfalls and some roadblocks that they're going to hit. You're going to hit the wall as a freshman. You're going to hit the wall academically. You're going to hit the wall athletically. But how do you persevere through that, and how do you maneuver that and handle it to where you're not coming home after a semester or coming home after 1 year?
Yes.
So.
Yes, that's huge. A lot of people don't understand that. They think it's, hey, I'm gonna go to school and I got this offer and that's it. It's like, no, it's so much more to fulfill that obligation. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna jump into rapid fire real quick. I asked you like a series of questions. Nope, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I always got to finish with tell us something that we don't know about you, Coach. No one knows. Well, a few people know about you, but something that we can kind of, just a fun fact about yourself.
Fun fact, I guess, I'm 41 years old. I grew up, Michael Jordan era, Kobe Bryant, all that stuff. People used to think my favorite player was Michael Jordan. And, a lot of guys our age are like Jordan. My favorite player was always Penny Hardaway. I'm a Penny guy. I always try to mimic my game after him. I'm not 6'7" like he is, but I've always been a Penny Hardaway guy. My college coach would tease me sometimes. He said, Coach, Jordan, you the most unselfish two guard I ever seen in my life. Like, you got to shoot it more. But, that's just me. I've always had a point guard mentality. I always had that kind of vision, or I'm always kind of in point guard mode, even though I kind of played two guard here or there.
Okay, that's good stuff. Penny was a
Yeah,
dude. Penny
yeah,
wasn't no. Hey, listen, if it wasn't for the injuries, I think,
I
man, Penny would
know,
have.
I know.
There's two players I wish I would have. I wish did not get hurt, and that's Grant Hill and Penny Hardaway.
Man, yeah,
The NBA
yeah,
would be different with the names of those two players.
yeah. I agree. I totally
And
agree.
and I'm not taking anything away from all the guys that came, the Kobe's and even when Michael was still playing. But
Yeah.
man, a healthy Penny and a Grant Hill, ooh,
Different with the size and the athleticism that they had and their ability to pass the ball. And we know
yes,
what Penny is. Penny's he was kind of on trajectory to be the next Magic,
yes,
athletic, he
yes.
is like, he just had a vision. And at that size to be able to do what he does and handle the ball, it was just a different flavor, different style. And I was a huge Penny fan, huge Penny fan.
And the fact that he could score when he wanted to, if he wanted to
Yes.
score,
Yeah.
that's a lot of thing. A lot of the youngsters don't really understand about him. He was a bigger guard, but again, if he wanted to score, he didn't
Yeah.
have no problems with doing it. He had moves. It wasn't like he didn't have the moves. He had the moves. He's very
Yeah.
athletic, skilled. Let me say it that way. All right, let me jump into this rapid fire, coach. I asked you a series of questions. You just pick which one you like. So always start with the NFL because the NFL leads the way as far as sports
Yeah.
and watching it. So I always start with either the Texans and the Cowboys. So I'm an Eagles fan, but I'm gonna leave the Eagles piece alone. But for the Texans, so I got the Texans and the Colts this weekend. It's Thursday,
Mhm.
matter of fact. I think no, it's
Yeah.
Sunday. It's Sunday game. It's Sunday game. The Texans or the Colts. That's a division game.
I'm gonna go Texans.
Okay. Okay. Cowboys and the 49ers.
49ers.
Are we gonna do baseball? It's the Yankees and the Dodgers. Who you got?
Honestly, if I could, my honest answer, I want both of them to lose. So in baseball, because baseball, they can buy the team, the salary cap.
That
So I'm like, I like to see the teams get there that have a like teams that have
yeah.
low salary cap. I like that. If I had to choose though, I'm leaning towards Dodgers because I like Mookie Betts. I'm always a big,
Okay.
African American
Yeah.
baseball players. There ain't a lot of them like it used to be
Yeah. No, it's
when we
not.
were much younger. So I like Mookie Betts, so I got to lean towards the Dodgers.
Okay. We're gonna slide to food. Pizza or calzone?
Pizza,
All right. Cheeseburger or chili cheese dog?
cheeseburger.
All right. It's a two-part wing question. Um, Buffalo or hot?
I don't like buffalo sauce, so I'm gonna go hot. I like spicy foods.
Okay. And then flats or drums?
I gotta go both. I don't have a preference. Some people like one over the other.
Mm-hmm.
I like both. I gotta go
Okay.
both.
No, nothing wrong with that. And then we usually always ask Penny. I was going to say LeBron or Kobe, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. It goes Penny or Jordan.
I like Penny better. I know now. I'm not saying Penny's a better player,
No.
but
Just your opinion.
yeah, I like Penny Hardaway better. I've always been a Penny fan. Crazy thing, I won best dress in middle school from wearing a freaking Penny Hardaway jersey like every 2-3 days. And my mom would get on me. I used to wash the jersey by hand. I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you the picture. I have it. I have a picture of it. I'm gonna send you the picture from the middle school yearbook. I got best dress off a Penny Hardaway jersey.
Okay. Well, hey, Coach, man, I really appreciate this time, man. It's, again, just allowing me to interview you and give you your flowers because I think you're doing a phenomenal job, man. I'm glad Jim Hicks introduced me to you. And again, this relationship has been awesome for me. So thank you again. And
Yeah.
please, man, just continue to do a great job. And you are doing a great job, by the way. Just continue doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to put my kids on a platform, put our school on a platform. Again, I always tell my kids, hey, y'all are in front of me. I'm not in front of y'all. Y'all lead the way. My playing days are over. My window is closed. Y'all do the playing. I do the coaching. And, obviously you got to have some players to be able to get where we're at. So I'm blessed being from the community, hometown kid, you know, people in the community have really enjoyed this ride, and I hope I've created memories for everybody to look back on 20 years from now, whether God forbid, hopefully I'm still living and they can look back and say, hey man, it was history in the making, and glad we were able to be a part of it.
Well, Coach, your name and your school with you working for it has definitely been etched in the books of history. So you go to that UIL and you go to that state tournament, you'll see the 3 years that you've been there, and I believe that you have many more to follow because you're doing a great job with that program over there.
I so appreciate it.
Always. I see you in the hardwood, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.